Welcome back to Joker Recaps. Today we are going to explain best action thriller movie. Let's start it. So the film, your host, begins. We see a wounded man chained in a dark room, with a camera fixed on his face. He also had an iron collar around his neck, and he was crying. Then a man's voice echoes, telling him that he had won the game. It appears that this bound man was part of a game show. The host then asks him to play one last game. In this final game, he had 3 boxes in front of him, and he had to choose one by yanking a string. As the crying man pulls the string to choose a box, the box suddenly opens, and a rifle emerges from it, ending the man. The scene then cuts to 4 friends who had come to James's farmhouse for vacation. James was quite wealthy but also possessive. However, because he paid for his friends' expenses, his friends always obeyed his orders. Despite this, no one was happy with his habit. While they're playing games, they suddenly hear strange noises coming from outside the house. James goes to investigate and finds numerous cameras installed outside the house. He takes them home. Everyone is confused as to who installed them. James says he doesn't know, but he'll check. Everyone refuses, and James becomes enraged. He commands everyone, "Listen carefully to me. You, in my house right now, and I'll listen to you, and I'll play this video." Hearing this, Melissa replies, "We won't listen to you. You're our friend, not God. You're just trying to dominate us because of your money." With that, Melissa snatches the recording from his hand and breaks it. James runs away, screaming, and they all go to their rooms. Meanwhile, we see a stranger sneak into their house. Here, we see Matthew, who is pacing from inside the living room. Meanwhile, we see a shadow behind him, which he himself doesn't notice. After finishing his work, he goes to Anita's room to wake her up. He is shocked to find that Anita isn't awake. Panicked, he goes to Melissa's room and finds that she is also unconscious. Panicked, he calls out for James, but instead of James, someone else suddenly appears behind him and stabs him in the neck with an injection, rendering him unconscious as well. After this, the 4 of them regain consciousness in a strange place, tied to the wall with collars attached to their necks. At this moment, a camera was installed in front of them, recording. They all try to free themselves, and it is shown that a man is enjoying watching their recording from the dressing room. He then runs out of the dressing room and confronts them, revealing his name to be Barry, who claims to be the host of the game. Upon arriving, he presses a button, causing the chests around their necks to tighten, forcing them to stand. He then begins the show in a spectacular fashion. The curtains in front of the stage are drawn, revealing a set of mannequins and mannequins. The sound of applause and cheers from the audience emanates from the speakers. Barry then introduces the 4 men to his audience. They are astonished to learn that this man knew every detail of their lives. He informs his fake audience that they will first play rock paper scissors with their guests. Hearing this, the 4 are confused, and Barry takes a commercial break and retreats back to his dressing room. James tells them, "I think this is a reality show." Anita tells him, "You're stupid, reality shows don't bring people in unconscious." Inside, in the dressing room, Barry was searching for something in a drawer when he suddenly cut his hand. After quickly bandaging it, he returned to the stage. He then asked the 4 of them to come closer and started playing rock, paper, scissors with them. Melissa takes her turn first and chooses a paper. Barry then plays the game with Anita, who also chooses a paper. He gets angry at Anita, saying, "You can't choose a paper now. You have to choose between rock, scissors, or shoot." Anita chooses a shoot. Barry then plays the game with the other 2 boys, and after the game is over, he comes back to Melissa, with whom he started the game. He takes a card from his pocket and tells Melissa to open her mouth. As soon as she opens her mouth, a card is bent at the corner of Melissa's lips, as if blades were attached to it. Then he approaches Matthew. Everyone is shocked. Before they can even recover, Barry picks up a stone from the ground and smashes it on Matthew's head, severing his head. Because he chose rock. James, because he chose scissors, cuts James's fingers with a sharp scissors. Finally, he comes in front of Anita and pulls out a gun, because Anita chose shoot. Barry pulls the trigger, and Anita falls backward. But it turns out he didn't end Anita at all. His gun only fired, as it was a lighter. Anita actually fell backward because Barry had pressed the button and pulled the chain. When they are convinced that Anita isn't dead, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Barry then leaves and returns a short while later with a new game. They all beg for their lives. But Barry doesn't listen and begins telling them about his game. He brought the Wheel of Pain. He says, "This time, you have to tell me the worst things you've ever done in your life." He says, "When you tell me these things, I'll decide whether you live or die." Everyone becomes even more terrified. James refuses to say anything. Then Barry begins torturing his private parts. James then confesses that he caused an accident involving an innocent person, for which his father took the blame. Despite this, James didn't take the victim to the hospital, and the man died there. In simple words, he committed murder. Barry continues torturing James until he reveals the victim's name. He then approaches Anita and, holding a can to her throat, tortures her, asking, "What have you done?" Anita explains, "My mom is very ill. I didn't have the money for her treatment, so I created an adult website, and I regret it to this day." Matthew then turns to Matthew, who reveals that he runs online scams to earn money and has even conned his friends. Melissa's turn comes, and she reveals that she works for a dog shelter and, whenever she needs money, sends innocent dogs to dog fights, earning good pay for it. After hearing this, Barry unchains Melissa and asks her to spin the wheel. Her first task, the wheel, was to guess 4 places by looking at the camera. One by one, she guessed 2 places correctly. And every time she pressed the button to take the next picture, she noticed something resembling a needle coming closer to her eye. She couldn't quite guess where it was. So Barry offered her another chance, and as she pressed the button, a needle shot out of the camera and into her eye, causing her immense pain, so much so that she couldn't bear it. Seeing Melissa's condition, everyone refused to turn the pin. So James turned the wheel for everyone. He told Vanita she would drill Matthew's ear. Vanita tearfully refused. But Barry told her that if she didn't, he would drill both her and James. Despite her reluctance, she did, and she drilled Matthew's ear, causing him immense pain. As she did so, the drill fell from her hand. Seeing this, Barry becomes angry and says, "You broke the rules. You threw this drill before the camera was turned off. You didn't do it right." Saying this, he removes the recording from the camera and leaves, writing, "Matthew," on it. After a while, he returns and starts a new game called Wild Card. He says, "I've asked 100 people in the audience a question: which part of the body hurts the most? You have to guess the answers I have." Matthew says, "In the head." Alyssa says, "In the knees." Anita says, "In the stomach." Alyssa doesn't answer. He's trying to excuse himself from these changes, and Barry, laughing, imitates him and answers, "In the neck." Barry then gives his answers, including head, muscles, feet, and stomach, but not knees. Lisa didn't say her answer because she didn't. That's why she lost. She didn't guess correctly. Because of this, her chains pull her back, and Barry turns on a hydraulic press with a sharp metal embedded in the bottom. This metal would have slashed Melissa, ending her. Melissa screams for help, and Barry shuts down the mechanism for a minute, asking everyone if anyone would be willing to take his place to save Melissa. No one is willing. Perry then turns on his mechanism, and the tool falls on Melissa's head, crushing her brain and ending her entire body. As she dies, the lights flicker. Barry, as usual, removes his tape from the camera and then, laughing, drags Melissa's body away, leaving a trail of blood behind. Then, in the dressing room, Barry removes his face mask and cuts himself on the face. There were several more cuts on his face, indicating that this wasn't the first time Barry had ended a person. He would cut himself after ending anyone. A short while later, Barry reappears on stage, holding a TV on which he was torturing a girl named Rebecca, just like these people. Barry then approaches Anita and removes his face mask. James tells Anita, "I've seen this man somewhere." Matthew replies, This is Barry Miller, who used to host a reality game show, and Anita used to work for him. Hearing this, James screams, "So that means we're here because of you. What did you do?" She begins to tell her story, and the story flashes back to the past. Anita and all her colleagues knew that Barry Miller had been charged with assaulting multiple people. Yet, despite this, Barry was partying. Anita's friends tell them, "Look, this is what happens to grown-ups." The media hid the matter so that the reputation of their channel and show would not be tarnished, and the people who were assaulted were given huge sums of money. Sitting there, Rebecca, Anita's close friend, jokingly suggests, "If you want to, Barry, you can trap him. The company or the channel won't let anyone tell on him, and you'll get enough money to pay for your mom's surgery." But Anita didn't want to do that because she knew she would soon be promoted. Rebecca said, "You've just arrived, what kind of promotion is this?" Just then, Barry comes to Anita with a cake, knowing it was Anita's birthday. Seeing this, Anita becomes overjoyed, and Barry puts his hand on Anita's shoulder in a normal, friendly manner, and Rebecca makes a scene out of it, wondering what kind of touching a woman is this, even though Barry hadn't done anything like that. This awkward moment also escapes Anita, and by building a mountain out of this opinion, Rebecca and her other colleague convince Anita to file a complaint against Barry with Human Resources. As per their plan, the channel and the game show's entourage don't allow a single accusation to be leveled against Barry, and Anita receives a large sum of money. In the present, as Anita reveals this truth to her friends, Barry arrives, and James tells Barry, "If Anita is the culprit, then end Anita and spare the rest of us." He says, "My dad is a very wealthy man and in a powerful way. If you want, he has so much money that he can set up a new game show for you. Your reputation will also improve. Just spare my life in exchange for this." At first, Barry becomes quite serious about her idea, but then it turns out that Barry was just faking it by pretending to be serious. When Barry refuses to listen, James angrily breaks his chain and attacks Barry with it. To stop him, Barry presses a button, sending a severe electric shock through the collars around their necks. All three fall unconscious. When they regain consciousness, the two boys are on beds with strange wounds on their stomachs, while Anita is free in front of them, but inside a locked room. Here, Barry tells Anita through a microphone, the key to the room in front is in these two stomachs. If you want, you can cut open either of them and get the key and reach me, winning this game. When Anita refuses, Barry tells her, "These two will die of hunger anyway. It's better to end them." Anita stands up, determined to stand up. James tells her, "I'm not going to be a fool. Don't end me. Take the key from Matthew's stomach. I promise to give you half my wealth." Hearing this, Anita, who was moving towards James, turns towards Matthew. But the next moment, she is filled with pity and quickly reaches James and slits his stomach. James writhes in pain, and ultimately dies. Anita takes the key from James's flower, and when she tries to open the door, she realizes it was another elaborate prank. This door wasn't supposed to open with a key, it had a magnetic lock. He only wanted Anita to commit a murder. Barry then frees Matthew and tells him through the speaker, "Go end Anita. That way you'll be the winner, because there's only one winner in this game." Saying this, without thinking, Matthew picks up a knife and starts moving towards Anita to end her. Anita was becoming increasingly frightened, as Matthew was getting closer and closer with each passing second. He held the knife in his hand. But he wasn't going to end Anita. He kisses Anita, confesses his love to her, and says, "I've always loved you deeply. If life were normal, I would have married you. But now, for my love, all I can do is make you win this game." With that, he stabs himself with a knife and ends himself. A strange gas spreads throughout Rome, causing Anita to faint. When she regains consciousness, both the dead bodies around her have disappeared, and the door to the room in front is now open. She enters the dressing room and sees tapes of all the victims. Quietly, she takes Barry's card from the dressing room, which she used to cut Melissa. She then goes to the bathroom to wash her body and then goes into a room. This was definitely Barry's room, where there was also a family picture. After exploring this room, she emerges and finds another room in the corridor where Barry was sitting. Barry tells her to come and play one last game. Anita goes in, and Barry places 3 boxes in front of her. She has to choose one. Fearfully, she chooses one, and inside, a cake appears. Anita looks at Barry in shock and confusion. She tells Barry, "You weren't like this before." Barry replies, "I'm not Barry Miller. You ended that Barry Miller. I'm just Barry, the host of this deadly game show." Barry approaches Anita and begins singing her birthday song. Anita, taking the opportunity, cuts Barry's face and escapes. Finally, she has escaped this strange situation. She has escaped. She was so happy, as if she had just saved her life. But this happiness was short-lived, as Barry sneaks up behind her, turns on his remote control, and electrocutes her through her collar, rendering her unconscious. Barry says, "Every scar on my face was a sign of death, and you created your own. That's why now you will have to die, no matter what." He drags Anita inside the room by the chain. He then lifts Anita's face and shoves it into a cake. Anita was afraid there might be something inside the cake, but it was just a normal cake. After doing so, he tells Vernita, "You're free. You can leave because you've won the game." Anita runs away happily, but after just a few steps, she begins experiencing intense pain. Her entire face turns red and her eyes become tear-stained. The pain is so intense that she can only survive for a short while before she dies in agony. Finally, we see footage from Barry's new show, in which she has invited the producer of her game show and is torturing him. At Barry's request, he confesses his crime, saying that the producer was behind all the assaults in his office, and that he had blamed Barry, which ruined Barry's career. Today, Barry has avenged this. The boy Barry ended at the beginning of the movie was the same colleague of Anita's who, along with his colleague, instigated Anita against Barry so that Anita could get money from the company. The man he ended at the end was the real culprit. But Barry was blamed for his mistakes. The footage of Tobeka that he showed to all the players was taken by Anita. Barry wanted revenge on him too. That's why Barry tortured and ended him, and Anita, too, tortured and ended him in revenge for accusing her. He ended Anita's friends to teach her a lesson, so that before she dies, Anita can experience what it feels like to lose everything. In essence, Barry only ended those who were connected to his revenge and were truly evil. Ultimately, after ending everyone, his revenge ends, and this is where the story ends. Thanks for watching.